Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Good afternoon, I'm Lara Masamba, and here are your 12:30 news. A pedestrian is in hospital after a hit-and-run crash in Kamloops. RCMP driver struck the man late Monday night near the intersection of 2nd Avenue and Lansdowne Street before leaving the scene. Police say the victim had been crossing the street at the time of the collision. Investigators have not released the extent of the man's injuries. Officers believe they have identified both the suspect vehicle and driver, but are still asking witness or anyone with information to contact the police. There are new earthquake reports near the BC coast. Our reporter Tyler Bereskin has more details on the earthquakes and what they could mean.
Multiple earthquakes struck off the coast of Haida this week. Both of these earthquakes were level 4s but did not result in a tsunami. Whether more and potentially bigger earthquakes could follow remains to be seen, as BC sits on a large subduction zone with 2 submerging plates. This raises the question of how prepared the province of BC is to respond to these earthquakes. Tyler Bereskin, BCIT News.
One of Canada's largest redevelopments is officially opening. Oakridge Park Mall is happening this month. Megan Natcat reports.
Oakridge Mall is reopening later this month, featuring 650,000 square feet of retail space. Developers describing this project as futuristic, it doesn't just bring back shoppers. Local businesses and investors are seeing this as an opportunity to establish their presence in Vancouver. Dining will also be a part of the grand opening, featuring Time Out Market, that will showcase a number of chefs and local restaurants. Oak Ridge Mall officially opens May 28th at 11 a.m. Megan Unadkat, BCIT News.
The province, local First Nation, and the City of Vancouver say they are working with private partners to keep the Vancouver Whitecaps in Vancouver. A joint statement says discussions are underway to improve the financial viability of the game days at BC Place. The group includes the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nation, along with the Crown Corporation that owns the stadium. The Whitecaps have been up for sale since 2024, and a separate investor group recently submitted a proposal to relocate the team to Las Vegas. Closing arguments are expected today in the high-profile legal battle between Elon Musk and OpenAI. Musk accuses OpenAI leadership of abandoning the organization's original nonprofit mission by turning the company into a for-profit business after his departure. OpenAI argues Musk was aware of the company's plan and only filed the lawsuit after failing to gain control of the organization.
Elon Musk's lawsuit essentially says that Sam Altman and the OpenAI team turned what was supposed to be exclusively, or at least primarily, a nonprofit into one of the biggest companies in America on a for-profit basis. Sam Altman and the OpenAI team say that Elon Musk is essentially a sour grapes individual who had an opportunity to stay with the company, who himself saw the need for a for-profit model, and who left under really bitter and unpleasant terms.
U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping are presenting a friendly public tone following meetings in Beijing, despite the continued tensions over Taiwan and Iran. Chinese state media says Xi told Trump the two countries should act as partners rather than rivals. However, disagreements remain over Taiwan, the war in Iran, and security in the Strait of Hormuz.
The U.S. readout mentioned that both leaders agree the strait needs to be open, that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. But we didn't get any of that from the Chinese readout. No mention of the strait or even Iran at all by name, which reflects what experts have been telling me, which is that while Beijing wants this war to end, they see it as America's problem to solve. They don't want to get pulled in too deeply.
That was Beyonce's 2000 anthem, Single Ladies, which has just been announced to be inducted to the National Recording Registry at the Library of Congress. These pieces were included as a list to show the cultural relevance and impact. And for weather in Burnaby, it'll be partly cloudy with low 9 and high 14. More news coming in an hour. I'm Larry Masamba, and you're listening to BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Trettanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Good afternoon. I'm Matthew Wong, and here are your 12:40 p.m. sports headlines. The Vancouver Canucks have called a news conference for this afternoon, promising what they are calling a major announcement as the franchise continues a full rebuild. The rebuild locked Vancouver into a top 3 pick in the upcoming NHL draft, and multiple reports say the search for a new hockey boss has been narrowed. Continuing in hockey, here's a full update on the expansion wave of PWHL teams that includes Hamilton, Ontario. Rob Westgate from the Canadian Press has more.
Oh, the good old hockey game.
The league says Hamilton, Ontario will be home to the newest PWHL team alongside Las Vegas and Detroit. The expansion clubs will start for the 2026-27 season, and the league is expected to add one more team to reach 12 franchises. The PWHL was formed in 2024 with 6 teams in Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, Boston, New York, and Minnesota. Vancouver and Seattle joined in 2025. Make that she shoots, she scores. Rob Westgate, the Canadian Press.
Baseball fans in the Lower Mainland can head to the Nat tonight, where the High Vancouver Canadians host the Everett Aquasox at Scotiabank Field at Nat Bailey Stadium, first pitch at 7:05 p.m. Over to soccer. The Vancouver Whitecaps are coming off an important 3-2 road win last night over FC Dallas at Toyota Stadium. Next up, the Caps will visit the Houston Dynamo on Saturday at Shell Energy Stadium with kickoff at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time. Vancouver looks to extend what national outlets describe as a dominant start to their 2026 campaign. Continuing with Caps news and also BC Place is essentially ready to become a World Cup venue after nearly $180 million in upgrades, including a new natural grass surface and improvements throughout the stadium to meet FIFA standards. The province is set to hand the building over to FIFA this week, so final tournament preparations can begin, ahead of the 7 World Cup matches in the city starting June 13th. Continuing with more World Cup news. Foreigners with a World Cup ticket won't have to pay thousands to enter the U.S., AP's Lisa Dyer reports.
In a rare easing of immigration requirements, the Trump administration is suspending a requirement that foreign visitors from certain countries pay up to as much as $15,000 in bonds if they're confirmed to have a World Cup ticket. The State Department imposed the bond requirements for countries deemed to have high rates of people overstaying their visas and other security issues as part of the administration's crackdown on immigration. World Cup team players, coaches, and some staff already were exempt from the bond requirement. Now, that exemption applies to those affected foreign fans. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
A legal fight over hiring for top positions in the NFL Florida. Florida's Attorney General has issued an investigation to the league claiming its diversity hiring practices violate state law.
The dispute centers on the NFL's so-called Rooney Rule. Back in March, Florida Attorney General James Uthmeier threatened possible legal action against the NFL unless it suspended the rule. The move prompted the league to revise parts of the policy, saying it expands the pool of candidates considered, adding final hiring decisions remain with each club. But Uthmeier says those changes don't go far enough, saying yesterday in a letter to the NFL, "You assert the rule does not impose any hiring quotas. We are not convinced."
For basketball fans here in BC, the NBA playoffs continue with games that land nicely in our evening window. In the East, Cleveland now leads Detroit 3-2, heading into Game 6 tomorrow night in Cleveland at 4 p.m. Pacific, with a potential Game 7 in Detroit on Sunday. Out west, San Antonio holds a 3-2 edge over Minnesota, with Game 6 in Minneapolis scheduled for Friday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time, and a possible Game 7 in Texas on Sunday if the Wolves can extend the series. Let's see. That's all for your 12:40 p.m. Sports Headlines. I'm Matthew Wong, and thanks for listening to BCIT News.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Good morning. I'm Chloe Lawler. Here's your 1250 sports updates. The wait for a new general manager is almost over for Canucks fans. Today at 1 p.m., the Canucks are set to make a major announcement. This all comes as the Canucks fired general manager Patrick Allvin in April after the conclusion of the 25-26 NHL season. More than 15 candidates were considered. Vancouver's president of hockey operations, Jim Rutherford, then announced on May 6 that he'll step down from his role following next month's draft and become an advisor. Florida's Attorney General has issued a subpoena to the NFL over its controversial Rooney Rule. Correspondent Gethin Kuba reports.
Florida Attorney General James Uthmire has issued an investigative subpoena to the NFL regarding the Rooney Rule. Uthmire sent the subpoena along with a letter to NFL Executive Vice President and Attorney Ted Elliott on Wednesday. Uthmire threatened possible enforcement actions against the league in March if it didn't suspend the 23-year-old rule. The Rooney Rule requires teams to interview at least 2 minority candidates for head coach, general manager, and coordinator positions. Uthmire sent his first letter to NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell in March, saying the rule amounts to, quote, blatant race and sex discrimination. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
There's a new push to keep the Whitecaps Major League Soccer team in Vancouver for future generations. The City of Vancouver, the BC government, First Nations, and the Crown Corporation that owns BC Place say they are working with private partners to try and make this happen. Reporters in Ottawa asked Prime Minister Mark Carney about the Whitecaps today.
In terms of the Whitecaps specifically, I'm not personally involved in that. I would obviously like them to stay, but I don't have anything to say on that at this point.
A joint statement by the group says they are working on improving the game day economic model at the stadium, but it does not identify the private investors. Today, quarterback Matthew Shiltz signed a one-day contract with the Hamilton Tiger Cats so he can retire as a member of the club. Shiltz spent 2 out of 8 seasons in the CFL with Hamilton. He started his CFL career with the Montreal Alouettes and also spent time with the Calgary Stampeders and the Ottawa Red Blacks. He played in 28 regular season games with the Tiger Cats with 11 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Shiltz also rushed 51 times for 312 yards and 2 touchdowns. Bossard Farms is a local farm that is helping with the World Cup pitch. Reporter Trevor Weinbrenner with more.
With the World Cup coming to Vancouver, changes had to be made, a grass pitch had to be put into place, and Bossard Farms got approached to make the grass pitch before, and they were excited to do it. I talked to Bird Boss, and he explained what it meant to them to create the pitch.
Yeah, it's super cool for us to be involved in this project. It's a made in Canada product and showcasing to the world what we're all about and what we can do, and get it at that international quality level. So it's been really a great opportunity, and we've had very good feedback.
The grass pitch is ready for the World Cup. Trevor Weinbrenner, BCIT News.
Aaron Cook, Senior Vice President of Cobbs Creek Foundation, says with its state-of-the-art learning facility, golf isn't the main legacy of West Philadelphia's Cobbs Creek Golf Club.
The legacy is the kids who are finding their passions, going on to pursue amazing things in life because of the opportunity they've received here at the TGR Learning Lab.
The Montreal Canadiens and Buffalo Sabres face off today at 4 p.m. at the KeyBank Center. The series is currently tied at 2 games apiece. Elsewhere, the Vegas Golden Knights and Anaheim Ducks face off in Game 6 today at 6:30 p.m. Vegas currently leads that series 3-2. I've been Chloe Lawler. Thanks for listening to Sports on the BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online.